Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today's February 12th, 2016. If Charles Darwin were alive, he would turn 207 years old today. In this video, I want to expose the fraud of evolution. It is very much a fraud, it is a proven fraud, and I will back up the fact that it is a fraud in this video. So, Charles Darwin. If you're new to my channel, I talk about numerology and gematria. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. Numerology is the practice of breaking down numbers and finding the meaning within them. The reason that I talk about numerology and gematria is not because it's a fascination of mine. It is because I figured out that the powers that be operate by this code, and they have for as long as recorded history has been around. It is the Freemasons, the Zionists, the Jesuits, the secret orders and high places who are responsible for operating by this code. And the reason that they have coded history this way is because they are ritualistic, and just like anything else, it's tradition, it's a practice, it's a way of operating. If you research about Pythagoras, scientists from the past, you'll see gematria, numbers of great importance, considered to be the language of God. I'm not saying that's so, I'm just saying where the significance comes from. So anyhow, Charles Robert Darwin, the full name of Charles Darwin, the man credited with the theory of evolution, has a name gematria of 96, the number of the Freemasons. The Freemasons pride themselves on being the keepers of knowledge. Notice the word Freemason and the word knowledge have gematria of 96. Charles, a name with 30 and 39 gematria. Robert, a name with 33 gematria, a number of obsession for the Freemasons. Darwin, a name with 33 gematria. Charles Robert Darwin also sums to 105, the numbers of Zionism and Masonry. The date he was born on, Truth Seeker, a very interesting date. He was born on February 12th, the 43rd day of the year. Notice that the word evolution has gematria of 43. The date he was born on is also a date with 41 numerology, the 13th prime number. And in a second, I'm going to teach you about Piltdown Man, something used in history as proof of evolution that was proven to be a fraud after 41 years. So we'll get to that in just a moment. The date that Darwin died on is also very interesting. He died at the age of 73. The word sacrifice equals 73. The date he died on had numerology of 123, the number of conspiracy, a numerology of 42. Freemason, the small way is 42, the big way is 96. A date with 33 numerology. Darwin again equals 33, a number of Freemason obsession. The ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, the branch of Freemasonry that is responsible for most of the wrongdoing in the world and the deceit that is waged against us, their ranging degrees are 31, 32, 33. Add them together, they sum to 96, like the word Freemason, like the name Charles Robert Darwin. The date he died on also had numerology of 23, connecting to the numerology on the date of his birth. So often when celebrities die, they die on dates that connect with their numbers from birth. Seems to be part of this Masonic ritualistic kill code. That's another topic. So anyhow, born on the 43rd day, evolution equals 43. These Masons, they have coded history, science, and spirituality by the numbers. Today is also Abraham Lincoln's birthday. The 43rd day, Civil War equals 43. So does Charleston, where the Civil War began. So does massacre. They say the Civil War was a massacre. What else is interesting to note is that Obama, the 44th president, is from the land of Lincoln. And even though Obama's the 44th president, he's really only the 43rd person to be president because Grover Cleveland counted as the 22nd and 24th president. So Lincoln and Obama also sharing this number 43. And right now we're living at this moment in history where our media is actively trying to divide us over race, religion, sex, spirituality, sexuality as never before. The Freemasons, the reason they give us this false knowledge by the numbers is for the sake of control. These people pride themselves on being the invisible architects of society, the keepers of knowledge. They believe in divide and conquer. As for the date Darwin was born, it's also the day that leaves 322 days left in the year. That's the number of the Masonic order Skull and Bones. Notice that Masonic and Jewish gematria equals 223, the reflection of this number, the law of reversals, practice in numerology. Evolution in simple English gematria also sums to 133, like temptation. I think these powerful people, they often are giving us thoughts and ideas to consume us and to essentially lead us into temptation. Now check this out. Origin of Species came out November 24th, 1859. You might have heard of Lucy, the ape that was discovered, that was supposedly proved the theory of evolution. That discovery was on November 24th in history. Lucy was supposedly discovered November 24th, 1974. Emphasis on 74, the number for Masonic. What are the odds? Lucy discovered on the publishing date of Origin of Species about evolution. Notice Origin of Species has gematria of 88 like poison and program. In numerology, the multiples of 11 are very important. 11, 22, 33, 44, so on. A lot of important words with this numerological coding. The date of this publishing, a date with 112 numerology. This number always reminds me of mathematics. The word mathematics equals 112. Think about 1 plus 1 equals 2. These people do things by the numbers. Also a date with 58 numerology. Freemasonry equals 58. They call it Darwinism, which has gematria of 47, like Christian, numbers of the Masons and Zionists, numbers of authority. There's all this division between spirituality and science when really they should be one and the same. They should be, about the pursuit of truth and understanding. Notice that science and Christianity share this gematria of 155. When you write out 155, it sums to 216, which is a backhanded way of getting to the number 666. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216, a number made infamous in the Bible, a number that's left out of the Quran. Two very similar texts. Anyhow, Darwin studied at Oxford. In gematria, O is the 15th letter, 1 plus 5 breaks down to 6. X is the 24th letter, 2 plus 4 becomes 6. F is the 6th letter. O again breaks down to 6. Oxford begins with 4 sixes. Added up, it sums to 37. Origin of Species was published on the day that left 37 days remaining. So check this out. On November 24th this year, Google's tribute was to evolution, talking about Lucy. Lucy discovered on this date in 1974. And the tribute was reminding us of 41 years ago. 41 years ago. So now we're about to watch this video, Piltdown Man, the scientific fraud that lasted for 41 years. I just want you to notice that Piltdown equals 41. And remember, Darwin born on a date with 41 numerology, the 13th prime number. Lucy's kept at ASU on the 33rd parallel. ASU has gematria of 41. Discovered in Ethiopia. Ethiopia having gematria of 47 small way, 74 big way. In the year 74, Masonic equals 74, Lucifer equals 74. Let's watch this video on the fraud of Piltdown Man to close out.
One of the most interesting examples of how the evolution theory offered inspiration to British imperialism was the scandal of the Piltdown Man. In 1912, a strange skull was dug up in Piltdown, England. Charles Darwin, the scientist who found the skull, together with his team, declared that it belonged to a creature that was half ape, half human. Arthur Keith, the famous evolution anatomist, examined the fossil and confirmed the results. However, Dawson and Keith emphasized an important point. The brain size of Piltdown Man was as big as that of modern man. The jawbone, however, had ape-like features. Suddenly, the brain of Piltdown Man became a source of great pride for the British. Since his skull was found in England, it surely had to be an ancestor of the British. The great size of the brain was supposed to indicate that the British had evolved to a higher status than the other races, thus in effect confirming that the British mind was superior. Which is why the discovery of Piltdown Man aroused such great excitement in England. Newspapers ran headlines. In social circles, they joyously celebrated this discovery. The British government, for their part, honoured Arthur Keith with a knighthood as acknowledgement for his work on the Piltdown skull. The famous evolutionary paleontologist Johansen explains the relationship between Piltdown and British imperialism as follows.
The Piltdown discovery was very Eurocentric. Not only did the brain have preeminence, but the English had preeminence.
The inspiration the English derived from Piltdown Man lasted for 40 years. Then, in 1953, a scientist named Kenneth Oakley examined the fossil in detail and disclosed that it was in fact the greatest forgery of the 20th century. The fossil had been faked by attaching an orangutan jaw to a human skull. London radio announced this fact in astonishment.
Britain's august Natural History Museum is all a dither over a scandal concerning the Piltdown Man. One of the most famous fossil skulls in the world is declared to be in part a hoax. 40 years ago, its discovery was a sensation. Today comes the shocking news that this is skullduggery.
For the evolutionists, the Piltdown Man scandal was only a beginning. In the coming years, other skulls were presented as proof of the ancestor of man. But later each one of these proved to be either a fraud or a misinterpretation. It was determined that these skulls either belonged to extinct ape species or ancient human races. Despite this fact, evolutionists went even further and dared to present fossils of chimpanzees, orangutans, and even pigs as ancestors of man. Yet over time, they had to reject these fossils, to which they gave names such as Zinjanthropus, Ramapithecus, and Hesperopithecus. The story of Piltdown Man provides a symbolic indication of how British racism derived support from the theory of evolution. English imperialism had actually found more solid grounds to rely on.
So there it is, Truth Seeker, the fraud, Don and Johansen, both names with 33 gematria. Again, Lucy kept on the 33rd parallel at ASU, connecting to Darwin. This is how they do it. Forging history by the numbers, from Darwin up to the present and even before him. Until next time.